We're back, bitches. It's a legal shift. We've been away for 2 weeks. Keith was giving our money to another country, just acting as another arm of the executive branch and taking our money elsewhere, spending it in the Dominican Republic. He tried to get himself in prison there for all time, but it didn't work out. He's come back home to America just in time to celebrate our independence. So, Kiefer, with your permission, I will now launch the show.
Permission granted.
Let's do it.
The growing calls across the nation to defund the
Giving them business down there at the 15-yard penalty.
There was no foul on the play. It was not a hold. The defender was just overpowered.
Illegal shift on the kicking team. That penalty is refused. First down.
Guns up. Giddy up, Wolfpack. Welcome to Failure to Stop. Failure to Stop is the #1 podcast and platform where we go to entertain and inform first responders and their friends like you and to weird out regular civilians with our dark sense of humor. This is a legal shift. People don't watch the show because they're like, yeah, I don't do sports, but I have to explain to them mostly what we do is funny commentary about the topic of sports. So if you don't do politics or news, but you watch Last Call, that's fine. That's what you're doing here. We're not doing a deep dive on sports like they do at Sports Center. It's just a couple of first responders. I'm John. I'm a 911 dispatcher. Been doing that for 9 years, having my soul dipped in an acid bath every single day when I go to communications. Joining me, as always, is Fire Lieutenant Jason Kiefer of One More and I'm Out of Here, a podcast which is, despite all rumors on the internet, most of which that I have made up myself, is not circling the drain. Kiefer, how was your vacation and how are you doing? And on behalf of all of America, welcome back home.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be back home. It's been a little bit since I've traveled internationally, and getting into the country, Dominican, was super easy. Getting back into ours was surprisingly difficult and amazing to me, as I'm standing in line for an hour and a half at customs. Half drunk, not completely, but had a pretty good buzz going on, talking very loudly, as Jill said that I was, that why do we have to go through all this when people can just walk right across the border? I just want to go home. That's all I want to do.
Did you know that if you had announced loudly your support, if you had announced loudly your support for Joe Biden and your intent to vote for him this November, you would have been ushered to the front of the line? That's the thing. So right. You have to be smart enough to you have to be smart enough to kind of outplay them there in the line, Keith. But how was your trip overall?
I know. Overall, it was great. Great weather. We apparently got out of there just in time because Hurricane Beryl is just one of the swaths, the outer swaths, is hitting the island, or hit the island yesterday. But I mean, nothing crazy, just rain and thunderstorms. But weather was beautiful. People were awesome. Met a lot of like-minded individuals that we hung out with all week. Got to do a debate watch party. Jill almost got me in a fight, so that's where I almost went to Dominican jail. But we circumvented that, and we're good. We're back, baby.
Well, I'm glad that you're free, and I'm glad that you're joining us here for the last episode of the show before Independence Day. There's no show tomorrow that we're broadcasting early just so everyone can have the day off on Thursday. And I'm not sure if Eric's doing a show on Friday. Probably. I really don't think he would take 5th of July off. It just doesn't sound like him. But we hope everybody out there has a fun and safe Independence Day. On behalf of a 911 dispatcher and a firefighter, can I just offer this words of advice? Please, for the love of God. That is all. Please, for the love of God, this Independence Day. I shouldn't even have to say anything. For some reason, I do. For some reason, I have to say, don't blow up your hand. Don't burn down your house. Don't destroy yourselves. And yet, we will get to the other side of Thursday, and some of you will be missing fingers, and some of you will be missing hair and eyes, and some of you will be getting in touch with the Red Cross. And we told you to not do that.
You heard it here first, folks.
Keith, do you have anything to tell them? For the love of God.
Well, for the love of God, also don't call 911 because you hear fireworks.
Yeah,
You're going to. It's going to happen. So
yes,
just go with it.
if you don't know if they're gunshots or fireworks, that's how you know you live in a nice neighborhood, first of all. So congratulations. You live in a nice neighborhood. Number two, when you call and complain about fireworks and about how they're against the law and what is the ordinance and why won't law enforcement do something and whatever else you have to say, let me ask you this. Is this your first Independence Day? Are you 11 months old? Like, we do this every year. The fireworks go off every year. You were annoyed last year. You called us last year. We did the best we could last year.
Your dogs freak out, but
your
guess what happens?
Your dog hates freedom. You need a new dog. There's nothing that we can do about that. I could give you the phone number for the Humane Society where an American loving dog is waiting to be adopted right now. That's the best I could do for you on that front.
And since Sarah McLaughlin's not playing in the background, we promise.
Yeah. And not only this, but when you call me and you're mad that this is illegal or it ought to be, need I remind you that government overreach from King George III is the whole reason we're celebrating, because we kicked that shit out of here and decided that we're free to do whatever the fuck we want. So when you call the police on people for exercising their freedom, it makes me think that you're a fucking redcoat, okay? So don't do that.
You're a fucking redcoat. I like
You're
it.
a fucking redcoat. These fucking redcoats down the street are calling the cops on you. Come restrain these filthy colonials. Get them back in line. That's what I hear from you.
We did have this conversation between a group of my buddies and I that, you see all the posts, especially, and I'm sure they're everywhere, I know, but especially like where we're living, the watchful eyes of whatever. And ours is Anderson. And everyone's, be mindful of the dogs. Be mindful of the dogs. Guess what? If you had the dog last year and it heard the fireworks and it went and completely destroyed your house and went under the bed, guess what happened as soon as the fireworks stopped? It was ready to play again. So it'll be fine. Dogs don't get PTSD.
They can't remember.
It'll be just fine.
No, dogs are always down to party, and that's why we love dogs. I also love dogs because they never dial 911 to complain about their neighbors. They just destroy their own home. And if you're upset about fireworks, I encourage you to take it out on your own belongings rather than call me. Just start trashing your place. That's honestly, dogs have the best approach to dealing with the anxiety of fireworks. Just destroy yourself. Just tear your shoes and your couch. Just do whatever you want to do, but you don't have to call me. You don't have to call other people. So I think we covered all the bases, right? Like, don't set yourself on fire. Don't explode your children. Don't call to complain. This is coming, right? So if you have to wake up early and work on the 5th, at 4 p.m., take a safe amount of NyQuil, because I still don't want to respond to your overdose. Whatever it is, you're sleeping, whatever you need, have a beer, but just buckle up. You know what's coming. You know those noises are happening. And I'll say this as well. If you have left the safety of the city and now you live in the countryside, if you live out in the sticks, there's no noise ordinance out there. There's noise ordinances in the city. And when you leave the city, you leave certain things behind that are city stuff, like laws against fireworks. So if they can't go out to the middle of nowhere to blow something up, where are they supposed to do it? There's no America left, according to you. It's like, they shouldn't be doing this near my house. They shouldn't be annoying me.
And chances are it's not fireworks. If you're in the country, it's probably tannerite. So
yes, tannerite, which is amazing. So, here's something else too. Here's something you didn't think you would hear me say. Ask them to stop yourself. You're a free American. You can go over there and approach them. If you do it the right way, if you handle yourself as a gentleman and with class, and if you explain yourself, there's a chance they may hear you out. There's a great chance they won't, because they've been looking forward to this, so they've spent a lot of money on these fireworks, and they sure as hell are going to blow some shit up. But, I'm just saying, you don't have to call the cops to come be your personal guard dogs about every single issue you have. Did we finish? Did we have anything else to say to these 4th of July people? Are we good? I think we're good.
No, enjoy it. Have fun. Be safe.
Yes, have fun, be safe. So we're doing something new tonight. Some of you may be on the channel One More and I'm Out of Here. We are simulcasting for the first time for a couple of very solid reasons. Number one, because we can. That's what Americans do. We do things because we can. That's a good enough reason in and of itself. Why did we go to the moon? Because we can. That's why we went there. And why are we broadcasting on 2 channels at once? Because we can. Also, we're trying to, extend our reach a little bit. We're trying to pad out the One More and I'm Out of Here account while they struggle to scramble to find anyone that will do that show with Kiefer. And just to reach a new audience, right? There's some people out there that like One More and I'm Out of Here, and they've never seen me. You may remember me. I was on one episode of One More and I'm Out of Here back when they were broadcasting from the varsity. They had the chief of the Cincinnati Fraternal Order of Police. He came on. He made some rather not brave remarks about Uvalde. He basically said, I want to take a stand. The same stand as everyone else. I want to say, on behalf of the Fraternal Order of Police, we agree with the media. And so I was like, okay, guy, I don't know who you are, but you know what the fuck? You have no idea what it's like to be a police officer in West Texas. I don't even know if you've been there, but it ain't exactly Cincinnati. And then he's just like, so let me ask you this. And I'm like, shoot, Mr. President. He says, you're a 911 dispatcher. And I said, absolutely. Go ahead with your question. He goes, so you're a fucking 911 dispatcher. And I go, yes. And that was the end of that. So that episode was about a year ago. It was still a good time. But suffice it to say, I've never been officially asked back, and I get it. If somehow I can be more alienating than Rob, I understand why I don't belong there. I get that. So we're here. We're broadcasting also on One More and I'm Out of Here. What is this show? If you're on One More and I'm Out of Here and you're seeing this on your feed, so Jason, we've been partners with him on Failure to Stop. Going back well over a year. We've kind of been podcast bros, because we're not really competitors or anything. We're just a bunch of young, sexy, white conservative men trying to figure it out on the internet together. That's all we are. And so now we've got a little bit more corporate synergy. We're working directly together, teaming up to get your filthy likes and subscribes, to monetize it, so that we can all live like Scrooge McDuck. That's basically all that we're after. To dive around in a big vault full of pennies. So that's what's going on. We appreciate you. If you're watching on that platform and you've never seen me before, I hope that you enjoy the show. I hope it's something that you want to see. You can watch it on either platform. If you're watching on One More and I'm Out of Here and you're just coming across this, I encourage you to hit like and subscribe to One More and I'm Out of Here. It's a great podcast platform. They talk about politics and Cincinnati things and sports and all sorts of illicit things, and they use all kinds of coarse language and salty oaths, and it's everything you would want from a podcast. So click like and subscribe if you're over there. That's all the business, Keith. Now that we have warned people to not blow themselves up, to be good Americans, we've explained what the fuck we're doing. I think now it is time for ads. Are you ready for some ads?
Let's do it.
All right. So this show, as far as Failure to Stop is concerned, is brought to you by GhostBed. Folks, GhostBed is a wonderful company. GhostBed has supported Failure to Stop from the very beginning. Since long before I ever got here, Failure to Stop, we've been getting money and support from ghostbed.com. Ghostbed.com is a website where you can buy furnishings that are made by the company called GhostBed. Basically, what GhostBed does, it's an all-American company. They make all of their stuff right here in the good old USA, which we now love more than ever. And they basically get out their Ouija board and they plug it in. They've got a special electronic version. It was issued by Hasbro in 1985. This allows them to access a lot of ghosts on the hereafter. They go into the other side like it's some sort of horrible movie that was only released on a VHS tape, and they capture all these ghosts, right? And they bring them to the other side. And they convert them into nice bed technology. So you're sleeping on a bed that was possibly made out of the ghost of Andrew Jackson. Who knows? You could be having the most patriotic bed possible. It's possible that he's aware that he is now a piece of furniture and that he's screaming in existential torment for what has befallen him. But anyway, it's all natural, sustainably harvest ghost technology that is used to make your beds. With the offer code WOLFPACK, you could save 40% on that website, possibly even sometimes 50%. I would wager that now that it's the 4th of July, they've got to have some kind of great deal going on. Go over there right now. Go to ghostbed.com. Use the offer code WOLFPACK. You could save, and you could get sleep so good that it's scary. With 0% down, 0% financing, even if you are broke as a joke, just like Antonio Brown, you can go over there and you can actually still make a ghost bed happen to you. As it turns out, even though you are a piece of shit and your credit is terrible, you still sleep at night. And as a human being, I guess you kind of deserve to have a good night's sleep. In fact, you probably need it, since your waking hours are a never-ending nightmare of financial disaster. So please go over to ghostbed.com and get a bed that will help you get good sleep. Also, you're probably eating. Are you a piece of shit?
The most comfortable pillows, I will say. The most comfortable pillows I've ever slept on.
Very comfortable. Are you a piece of shit? Well, you're probably still eating. Go to Factor Meals. You can go over to Factor Meals and you can get a great experience over there. So what is Factor Meals? If you are a busy person like me, because you do, only 99 podcasts now, you can go over to Factor Meals and you can sign up. You can use the offer code WOLFPACK50. You could save 40% off, 50% off to start. I think it's 20% off for your second week. You could pick out a plan for yourself. A plan of what? A plan of action, a plan of nutrition, a plan of self-discovery, self-determination, and discovery. Did I say discovery twice? I may have. Anyway, you're going to do a lot of discovery because they have a lot of food on that website. You could go over there. You could see every kind of food they have to offer there, whether it's a carb-conscious meal plan, a keto plan, a vegetarian plan, a pescatarian plan, if that's what you want for yourself. And you can have fresh, not frozen food delivered right to your house, reverse trick-or-treat style. Now, Keith, I know what you're thinking. That's so offensive because reverse trick-or-treat is my favorite sexual position. Well, as it turns out, it also just happens to be the way that they bring food to your house. They bring it to your house. They're going to bring you not candy, not empty calories, but delicious food that are going to keep you going. So if you're meal planning, if you're trying to save time, you're trying to save energy, you're trying to save sanity because you don't want to go out there to Walmart, you don't want to go out there to the grocery store, and you do not want to look directly into the abyss that is Biden inflation every time you try to buy a gallon of milk or a loaf of bread, you can get Factor Meals to bring your food. It's not cheap, but it is valuable. The amount of energy and time that you save to perfectly craft a meal plan for yourself, and you're not eating on a whim. You're not eating something trashy or bad when you're hangry or sad or lonesome in Kiefer's case. You can just get the meal that you want, that you know is going to give you the body composition that you're aiming for. So Factor Meals is great for first responders. It's great for sensible people everywhere. So the next time you're eating a gas station hot dog and you have no money in your bank account and you're wondering, where is it all going wrong? Maybe for once, for the love of God, could you listen to a 911 dispatcher telling you to do something or not to do something? And just go to Factor Meals and make your life better. Use the offer code WOLFPACK50 that can make all your dreams come true, food-wise. We encourage you to go over there, WOLFPACK50. Keith, I wanted to bring this case to light. This is a rather bizarre thing going on. It's not getting a lot of traction in the news. In fact, you hadn't heard about it. But we've got a former NFL player who's caught up in a cult, and now his son has disappeared. Have you heard anything about this case before?
I heard vaguely, like just a headline, but I honestly hadn't even looked at it yet. I mean, I saw it yesterday, ironically, before you sent it to me, but I hadn't looked into it. And this morning, as I started looking into it, there's a lot to unpack here. Holy shit.
This is bizarre. And this is not even really a news story, but you know what? It's a news story. It's not a sports story. So for all of you who think that we're going to get into deep analytics of, who has the 14th best secondary in the NFC, before you think that that's what we're going to get into, we stay relatively close to the surface of sports. And, we are also, a first responder show. So we talk about police stuff, crime stuff in the news. We used to have a true crime show on this network. So let's break this down, right? This is about a former NFL player, but we're really dealing with some serious and potential crimes here. So I'm going to read the following from Fox News. With your permission, Keith, you let me know if I'm good to read from it.
Good to go.
From Fox News, grandmother of ex-NFL player's missing child speaks out a bid probe, worries the teen is brainwashed. So a couple of things. Just to clarify, because that headline's a little bit confusing. Grandmother of ex-NFL player's missing child. So basically, we got mom. Mom is concerned about her son, and she's concerned about her grandson. Her grandson's missing. Her son is apparently caught up in a cult, maybe? We've talked about brainwashing before, how it goes with a cult, a personality cult, Charles Manson, Heaven's Gate style thing, where like they destroy your personality to make you subservient to the goals of the cult, which are usually money, sex, the end of the world, typical, the stuff that firemen are into is what cults, most cults are about. So this is about Daniel Muir. He played for several teams, including the Indianapolis Colts. By the way, you just have to love this if you're the Indianapolis Colts, right? Like, football being a media thing, we've talked about it before, how it's a TV show, it's a form of entertainment. You don't want bad press. Nobody wants bad press. I don't want bad press. So Fox News says Daniel Muir played for several teams. He's basically saying, there's a lot of teams out there that could be concerned about this, but none more so than Indianapolis Colts. And they're probably like, Jesus, why did you pick us to put in the headline?
Why is our team the moniker now?
I hate to say this, but it was rather bad luck. I feel like there should be a rim shot there. If you don't know, the symbol for the Colts is a horseshoe, and it's a symbol of luck. And they also had a quarterback of the same name. Anyway, so I'll continue reading. The grandmother of the missing 14-year-old son, a former Indianapolis Colts defensive lineman, Daniel Muir, spoke out Monday as police in Indiana investigate allegations that the boy was abused. Now, Kiefer, I'm going to take a rather bold stand in the style of the guy, the president of the Fraternal Order of Police that you had from Cincinnati in your show. I'm going to take a stance that's every bit as bold as his. I'm against child abuse in every form. Kiefer, did you want to take a stand on that?
I will completely concur with your statement.
Okay, very brave of you to agree with me. This would have been your shining chance to say, well, you know what, John, I'm going to play devil's advocate because kids knew what they were getting into and they have a certain amount of things coming to them. I would have loved to have that debate. I think you would have been you would have been tarred.
So many one-liners. I'm not even going to do it.
No, you would have been tarred and feathered, and it would have been the end of you. Possibly isn't as a public servant to advocate child abuse. So I'm glad
Correct.
that we did not have that debate. I'm going to keep going. Bryson Muir, that's the son. He was the subject of a silver alert put out in the state on Friday. Now, I thought a silver alert was for missing old people.
That's what I thought.
But I guess a silver alert is also just for missing kids that aren't abducted. Maybe a silver alert is for endangered runaways. I'm not sure. It's possible that silver alerts mean different things in different states because I get silver alerts from Colorado a lot, but it's always about missing elderly people. I think there was one on Tuesday night. Someone went missing in Colorado and they were an older woman. And so a silver alert was generated.
Here, hold on one second, John. So a clear alert is designed to close the gap between amber alerts, which are used for children, and silver alerts, which are used for seniors. The alert is meant to help law enforcement locate missing or kidnapped adults who are in. So there's a blue alert. There's multiple. So as you're talking, I'm going to look through these because I'm curious now.
I just want to ask you, first of all, did we run out of colors to the point where we were literally at clear alert?
Golden alert, gray alert, silver alert, white alert, purple alert. What?
Was there a clear alert?
A feather alert is a resource available to law enforcement agencies investigating the suspicious or unexplained disappearance of an indigenous woman or indigenous person.
I knew that those existed. We constantly get notifications from Alaska and other places that indigenous people are missing. Because they do tend to go missing at a higher rate than, Caucasian people. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that there was something as a feather alert. Was not aware.
I haven't heard it called a feather alert before, but I know that there are special indigenous persons alerts for when they go missing because they go missing at a much higher rate. And I don't know the reason for that. I'm sure it's complex and manifold, but I know that those exist. But anyway,
so This says a silver alert's activated when an elderly, developmentally, or cognitively impaired person has gone missing and is determined to be at risk. Silver alerts provide immediate. So, I don't know the background of this child.
Do they think do they think he's cognitively impaired because he's brainwashed by a cult? Is that why it's a silver alert?
Maybe that's why.
I wonder if that's it, because maybe they're saying like this kid is on the run and he's not in a good state of mind because of the conditioning that he's received at whatever it is that this compound he was at. I'll keep reading on.
That would make sense, though.
Police released 2 photos of the teenager, one of which showed the boy with the swollen eye. I've actually got that photo here. So you've got Daniel Muir, unless I'm confusing his name, that's the former Colt, contemplating his future with a cult. You know, he went from Indianapolis Colts to Indianapolis Colt or whatever. And then this poor kid, not to joke around at all, we've got a young man here who's missing. He's clearly been punched by a southpaw here. And he looks like he's in a state of distress, and this kid's missing right now. So I'm not joking about that at all. In fact, we'll put out some information here at the end. If you see this kid, contact authorities, definitely. If you feel it's safe to do so, intervene, see if you can talk to him, find out what's going on with him. Of course, he's been missing for a while, so his injury may have healed. But this is a serious matter that I'm not joking about at all when it comes to the child. Again, Daniel Muir spoke out on Monday as police in Indiana investigate allegations that the boy was abused. So the grandmother is concerned about him. Like we said, we're concerned about Bryson. Bryson's the one that's missing. So Daniel Muir is a person of interest in this case. He's the football player that I just threw up on the screen. So we got Daniel Muir there on the left, and Bryson is the kid that's missing. So Daniel is a person of interest, the football player. Just so that I make the personalities clear. I don't want to get too confused here as I get into the mud. Daniel Muir is a person of interest in the case after failing to cooperate with the investigation. So his son has clearly been battered, clearly been hit in the face, and now the kid's missing, and dad's not cooperating. That is something to be concerned about. Cheryl Wright, the boy's grandmother, expressed concerns to Fox 59. She was the one who tipped off police about the possible abuse the teenager was facing. She said she believed Bryson Muir was beaten by his father and that her grandson had been, quote, brainwashed into living on a religious compound in Logansport. I would say you don't have to brainwash a kid to make him live on a religious compound. If his dad tells him he's going to live there, that's what's going to happen. Of course, if he's living there, he's probably under the influence of a whole bunch of people who are powerful enough to convince his dad to move there. She last saw the boy on June 16th, which was a couple of weeks ago now, when he was with his mother, Kristen Muir. Quote, his face was battered. When I got him, he had a black eye and a busted lip, Wright told the station. His whole face was swollen. I can only imagine how many times he had been hit in the face for it to be like that. First of all, I'm going to just go out on a limb with more commentary. You're a defensive end, defensive lineman, and you're hitting a kid. It's pretty fucked up.
Yeah. It's probably honestly not going to take more than one in the eye and then one in the mouth, which is what we saw in that picture.
Can you imagine being a kid and going up against one of these guys? It's basically a world-class athlete. Not only a world-class athlete, but one of the heaviest world-class athletes in the world. Like, they don't have like the speed and the power and the technique of boxers. But this is exactly the same thing as far as this kid's concerned as going toe-to-toe with Mike Tyson.
Yeah, just brute strength.
Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. Like, children all over the world, who suffer at the hands of their parents don't stand a chance, but this kid is especially vulnerable and missing. His whole face was swollen. I can only imagine how many times he had been hit in the face for it to be like that. Wright said she believed it was Daniel Muir who gave his son the black eye. She said the boy did not want to talk about what happened, and that caused her to call police. Police eventually got to Kristen Muir's SUV, but the boy was not in the car. The officers believe that he had probably been switched into another car, Wright said. On Friday, police issued a silver alert and were worried that Bryson was in extreme danger. Police said that Muirs agreed to bring their son to meet with Indiana State Police investigators at noon on Friday, according to Fox 59. However, the Muirs reportedly backed out an hour before the meeting. Police said it was signaled an unwillingness to cooperate. Yeah, if they feel like they're going to show up with their kid and he's got marks on him, probably more marks now that the police are involved, they're in serious trouble. But what's this all about? Wright worried that the Muir's involvement with the Servant Leader Foundation, a nonprofit religious group that takes residence in Logansport. However, the station noted that there is no sign outside this property that signals the group name. Rather, there is a sign that reads Straightaway Goshen. That's spelled Gohsen. Straightaway Goshen. Keith, what are your thoughts?
Well, the whole thing's disgusting. First and foremost, and when you're talking about the uncooperativeness, yeah, you made a dumb mistake, you made a dumb decision, and you beat a kid. They finally got their wits about them by not wanting to go, and then made another dumb decision by evading and running. I mean, obviously upstanding individuals. I mean, completely upstanding. The thing with the Colts, so like when you sent me the story, I was searching and couldn't find. It's very hard to find information on this cult for me, or at least for me, where I was looking. I'll let you continue. I've got an article that was actually published this morning. And
okay,
as we said, we're doing this a day early from where we normally.
Yeah, I'll finish this. I'm almost done, and then I would love for you to just straight read from whatever you've got. So they're worried that Muir's involvement with the Servant Leader Foundation, a nonprofit religious group that takes residence in Loganport. There's no sign outside of this property that signals the group's name. There's a sign that reads Straightaway Goshen. So, I don't know about you, but I'm instantly creeped out by cults. Like if you're a closed society that will commit crimes together, and you could say, well, what's a crime with respect to religious freedom? All I want to say is anything that's just against the law, right? I think if we're talking about beating kids, because I'm not making allegations of any other sort. I don't know anything about Servant Leader Foundation. I don't know anything about Straightaway Goshen, and if they're two different things or if they're the same thing or what. But children being in danger is something that every single person should be able to agree is not okay. And it also could be that the Servant Leader Foundation, Straightaway Goshen, whatever this thing is, it could be that they are not in favor of children being abused either, but they should not be harboring anyone that is beating a child. They should not be harboring any domestic abuse situations. They should not be harboring anyone and using their protected status as a religious foundation or religious entity to protect anyone from crimes against children. I think we can all agree that if we're going to curtail the rights of any religion to have a closed compound or a right to privacy about what goes on there, we're going to curtail that in order to protect a minor child. We're definitely going to do that. Bryson,
so
go ahead.
When you said, I hate to keep interrupting you, but I saw two different things where you said, and I saw this in the other article and a picture of it where it said Goshen, Gohsen, but then I also saw in an article where they said Goshen.
It's possible that it's misspelled.
Right. So me being the ignorant fireman that I am, I tried to search both of them, and all I'm getting is Goshen.
Okay.
And Goshen definition is the fertile land assigned to the Israelites in Egypt. And that'll come in because there's mention of that in this other article. So
I was going to say, I've heard of the land of Goshen. Like I was raised at a Christian school, and I'm well aware of, of what that is in terms of its Old Testament significance.
We have a township close to us named Goshen.
There you go. It's named after the same place in the Bible. Yeah. So I understand here that Fox News has just made a typographical error. It's happened sometimes, even to the best of us.
So I literally saw a picture, like it was a picture outside of the compound that was spelled Gohsen, and I was like, what the hell is that?
Okay, well, sometimes even cults make
maybe they can't
errors. The only thing is like if you're talking about a proper noun and it's Goshen, for all I know, it's ancient Babylonian. I mean, it could be anything.
Right.
Could be something that the Ghostbusters were dealing with, for all I know. Bryson is so conditioned or brainwashed to their way of living that he wanted to go back, Wright said. As I tried to get my daughter to leave, he ran out of the house and left with them. So he was so upset about the situation, he literally left his grandmother and went back to these people from the cult. Police have asked residents if they know the whereabouts of the Muirs or their son to contact Indiana State Police at their Peru post. And I don't normally do this, but call 800-382-0689. Repeating, 800-382-0689, or dial 911. If you are seeing something that may be related to this Straightaway Goshen or Straightaway Goshen or Servant Leader Foundation, and you see a kid and they appear to be in distress, or something in your stomach just doesn't sit right, I complain about people who dial 911 for nonsense. Dialing 911 because of stuff like this is why 911 exists, and I'm happy to take a 911 phone call from you if it means that we can and better investigate any situation with a child in danger. That's what 911's for. So don't hem, don't haw, don't think maybe I should call the non-emergency number. Dial 911. Even if it ends up all being a misunderstanding and you've done it in error, you know what? We'll forgive you and move on. No big deal. No arrests have been made. Daniel Muir of the Indianapolis Colts. He also what other teams did he play for? I don't know. He's 6'2". He's 185 pounds, black male with brown eyes. He's last seen wearing an orange Under Armour shirt and blue jeans. It doesn't say any of the other teams here that he played for, so I guess bad news for the Indianapolis Colts. But Kiefer, I'm curious what you have on that. Whatever you have in front of you, please just by all means go ahead.
So this came from the Indy Star, and it was published 10:25 a.m. July 30th. So says members of the Indiana State Police SWAT team arrested a former Indianapolis Colts football player and his wife Wednesday after their 14-year-old son, Bryson Muir, went missing in June. Daniel and Kristen Muir were taken into custody from their home in Logansport, according to an ISP news release, and are facing felony charges. Relative told Indiana news media earlier she believed Bryson was quote-unquote conditioned or quote-unquote brainwashed at a property with ties to a religious organization where he was allegedly assaulted. And then the photo that you showed is in the same article. Bryson Muir, who officials said appeared, quote-unquote, safe and well, end quote, Wednesday, was released to the care and custody of the Cass County Department of Child Services. Here's what we know about Bryson's father. So it goes in that obviously he was a football player. I'm going to paraphrase some of this because it dives pretty deep. Let's see. Defensive tackle for the Colts for 4 seasons from 2008 to 12. Before that, he was undrafted free agent out of Kent State, signed by the Green Bay Packers, which he played 1 season, 2007 to 2008. We don't need.
I just want to make sure the Packers are also a Bears. That's all. Keep going.
He did play in the Super Bowl when the Colts faced off against the Saints and lost. He also played for the Jets and the Raiders.
Shame.
So after retirement, and I'm going to paraphrase some of this, but after retirement, he joined Sports World Incorporated, the Indianapolis organization made up of retired athletes who give motivational speeches. Neat. Let's see. In 2017, he spoke at an event organized by Faith Church near Martinsville, Indiana. The reporter, Times journalist who covered the event, said he talked about how God changed his life after he survived a car crash. It's to encourage kids to make good choices, Muir said at the time. And we talk about our good and bad choices, hopefully to turn them from bad ones and having them chase after the good ones. So where it gets into the Servant Leaders Foundation, ISP in Cass County DCS said in a news release that Daniel and Kristen Muir's home was the property of the Servant Leaders Foundation in Logansport, a 5.63 acre parcel of land owned by Servant Leaders Foundation is listed in the Cass County property records. The organization itself, I find this funny, has an address for a box at a UPS store.
Huh.
According to the property record, Daniel Muir bought the land in 2020, and the Servant Leaders Foundation became the owners in 2023. So he bought it, and then they either quote unquote bought it from him or took it from him.
Or he became subsumed by them. It's funny. You mentioned motivational speaking. At what point does that become indoctrination for a cult? And it's just amazing, right? Because what he's talking about sounds good. Like he's going to faith church and he's talking about turning kids away from bad decisions and having them turn towards good decisions, and his life being saved by God in a car crash, which is something that I can identify with. I had a seizure once while driving and nothing bad even happened to me. So like, I believe God is good and God takes care of you sometimes. However, turning away from bad decisions should not come at the direction of a fist.
Right. To your
So
child.
you have to be able you have to actually be a bigger man than what you are as an NFL defensive lineman, and somehow reach your child with words and with love and with conviction. And yes, with, how do I phrase this so that I sound proper? Correction. Like, you have to correct your child, but you have to do so in love, not out of anger. And
Right.
if you're using your fist on a child, you're correcting them out of anger. You're satisfying your anger. You're taking it out on them, like in the most literal sense. So, but I'm glad that I read the phone number and warned people to be on the lookout for no reason, since they are already in custody. That's great. A quick turnaround time. I'm now less worried. However, I think we all know that we really can't breathe a sigh of relief, right? Because this kid is now in the custody of the state. Well, they try to figure out what's going on. Who knows how much of the Servant Leader Foundation is involved in this? Maybe they're not involved at all. Maybe our worst fears about cults that were definitely stirred up by Jim Jones and Heaven's Gate. Maybe these things aren't so dangerous or so bad, even if they are confusing. But anytime where we have a child choosing to run towards a dangerous situation because they can't recognize it as dangerous is troublesome. And when we have parental abuse here, definitely a weird case. So I'm glad that we're getting some resolution, that the kid is at least in a safe place. Hopefully, again, state custody. I don't have the most high praise for, but at least we know his whereabouts, and hopefully we can figure out and unravel
this. Wasn't covered. This wasn't covered much.
Yeah,
like
and
the fact that it wasn't covered that much shocks me. Especially, I mean, it's fairly close to us. Excuse me. I know our news channel, WLWT Channel 5, did like a quick blurb saying that he was missing. But I have to go back and see what that date even was, because he had been missing since June.
Yeah.
3 weeks?
It's been a couple of weeks. Yeah. And, silver alerts getting issued, even if we don't understand the color coding system. And you know what the problem is that I realized, last week or the week before, so much goes wrong in the world that we can't even give voice to it anymore. Like, this is a kid that needs help, and he's being drowned out amongst so many voices of so many kids that need help in so many terrible situations, and so much bad stuff and an injustice, and in a world that has ADHD, and we can barely pay attention to anything for any amount of time. And it makes me sad, because people out there they're in need of good people. The kids out there are in need, and we can't even make stories like this rise to the top. We can't get attention even for a kid in danger.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about it really to speak about it in depth, but it just makes me sad. Keith?
Where it says, when we were talking about the sign, where it said Straightaway Goshen or Goshen or whatever, a YouTube channel for Straightaway Indiana Goshen links to a website for the Straightaway Truth Ministry. The site's welcome message says the group is, quote unquote, fully self-supported and does not carry the restriction of the 501c3 classification, which I find amusing, where if you go and look at some of these other organizations, they're nonprofits, right? Well, they don't want, as I'm reading this, my opinion is they don't want to be under any classification or restrictions, because guess what? You get looked at if you are.
Yeah.
You can evade the IRS, however, but when you have that designation, there's a lot of paperwork that you have to fill out versus just regular tax
and compliance, right? Yeah,
compliance.
Like you said, being looked at is that you are subject to being audited. Your paperwork can be gone through. On the other hand, if you're just saying, well, we're a completely closed entity and we're religious, this or whatever, they can claim that exemption.
They're essentially just running a business.
Yeah, and I would never say like, well, we need to just do away with that, because people know me. I'm in favor of dealing doing away with the IRS. Like I see the IRS as a bigger and more dangerous cult than anything else. But it is troublesome, and you have to wonder what it comes down to. What it comes down to is, what is the doctrine? What is their dogma? What is it that they preach and teach there in terms of faith? Christian, apparently, at least on its face.
Funny that you asked that, John.
Go ahead.
A page with additional information about the ministry states, we are a nation of Hebrew Israelites who are commandment keepers, obedient to Yah, our Savior, and Jesus the Christ. We are blessed with a vibrant deliverance ministry and life-changing truth from a true Jeremiah 3:15 pastor.
Okay, so what they see themselves are as the original, kind of like the disciples, right? Like they're practicing the laws of the Torah, the old law, the Old Testament, whatever you want to call it. They're basically Orthodox Jews who also believe in Christ. So that was sort of where Christianity and Judaism split off from each other. It's basically the Israelites, the Jews, they had in their prophecies and with their prophets, like Jeremiah, they said that a Messiah is coming. They always viewed this person as a strong king, a political figure, someone that would set up the kingdom of Israel as a political state, someone that would separate them from Rome and these other oppressors. They always thought it would be like that. And so they couldn't believe it when their Messiah and their Savior was this little baby born out of wedlock in a stable in a barn. Like they always had kind of this problem that the Messiah, the person who's going to make Israel great again, is this little filthy baby. They couldn't get behind that. So that's kind of where the divide goes between Judaism and Christianity. So,
when keeping in true sports fashion, Sports Illustrated reported in 2020 that other ex-NFL players, including former Packers star, and I'm going to butcher the hell out of this, Kabir Kabaha Bimila. I remember seeing his name on the back of his jersey, but I can't pronounce it. And former Colts player Robert Mathis had also become members of the Straightway Truth Ministry after denouncing Christianity. Okay, so
there you go. You've got a serious problem, right? You're denouncing Christianity while also saying, like, the tenets of this religion are that, Jesus is Christ or whatever. So they're saying that they're definitely not mainstream Christian. They're separating themselves from that, and they're saying that they're this other thing. So it's some sort of new or bizarre or strangely parsed sect of so-called Christians or Jews combined. But all I could say is that they're probably construing that to mean whatever they want, because if they're renouncing Christianity while still embracing Christ, I don't know what they are, and it's that's troublesome. And I know that I'm trying to explain the difference between Orthodox Judaism and Christianity, and you're trying to pronounce the last name of this guy. We're in pretty deep here. For first responders, we're doing the best we can.
Well, he's facing one count of obstruction of justice, a level 6 felony, and one count of domestic battery, a class A misdemeanor. His wife, Kristen, is facing one count of obstruction of justice, a level 6 felony. So they're at least charged.
I'm worried that with compounds and with financial situations set up to avoid scrutiny, and with his property becoming the property of this organization, that I just see a documentary coming out about these people someday, about whether or not they had a siege of federal agents who were all gathered around them for 55 days, or if they all just drank the red Kool-Aid. It's extremely troublesome. So
waiting for a spaceship.
Yeah, waiting for a spaceship, waiting for a comet. Anyway, thanks for listening, letting me get that case out there. I thought it was very interesting. I wanted to follow up on a case that we talked about, I think, our last show 2 weeks ago. The NFL lost that lawsuit. We were talking about the class action suit where all of the bars and all the restaurants and all the subscribers were all suing the NFL for protectionist practices. What that was about is that so the NFL entertainment industry, they have contracts with CBS, with NBC, and with Fox, and with ESPN to broadcast their games. And obviously, CBS, Fox, ESPN, they want people to watch those channels to get the games. And then so NFL Sunday Ticket rolls out in 1994, where through satellite DirecTV, you can get every game. And so is the NFL making DirecTV package Sunday Ticket, making it very expensive so that no one wants to buy it? Or is it just bonus stuff? What the NFL claims is that it's just a bonus package that if you want it all, if you want to watch out-of-market games and see every single thing, and if you want your red zone, this is the premium price you're going to have to pay for it. But these subscribers were saying that they were artificially inflating the price so that to protect CBS, Fox, and their other contracts, which would be a trust, which would be illegal. So I'm going to read this from Sportico, which is news agency I've never heard of before, but I wanted to bring you guys up to speed on this. NFL ordered to pay $4.7 billion in Sunday Ticket trial verdict. So I guess I was right, first of all, Keith, because if you recall, they were the class action suit was initially asking for $21 billion, as I recall.
Yep, I believe you are correct, sir.
So the judgment has been against the NFL, but Roger Goodell and his army of lawyers, handsome lawyers, have gotten that number down to a much more manageable $4.7 billion, which again is more than the domestic product of many countries. If I say again that if Guatemala had to pay $4.7 billion, they would hang up a sign and said Guatemala closed. That would be the end of Guatemala. A federal jury in Los Angeles Thursday found the NFL liable in the Sunday Ticket class action and awarded the plaintiffs more than $4 billion in damages. The NFL can appeal to the U.S. District Judge Philip Gutierrez that the damages awards are excessive and unreasonable. The league can also appeal to the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit, and then ultimately the U.S. Supreme Court. The ruling could compel major changes to the league's broadcasting arrangements, which last year accounted for 93 of the year's 100 most watched TV broadcasts in the United States. That's amazing. They're 93%.
Yeah.
They're 93 out of the 100 most watched TV broadcasts. So of all TV broadcasts, the top 100, 93 of them are football games. That's amazing to me.
Yep.
So we talked about this, like how could that change the way the NFL does business? It could make NFL Sunday Ticket change, could make it so that you can buy smaller packages, a la carte packages, which is something we as consumers want. I voiced in the last episode that I don't like that because consumers of a entertainment product were mad that they weren't getting enough money for their they weren't getting enough value for their dollar, that they basically called 911 on the NFL and said, with their fireworks are too loud or it's too expensive. I want more for free. They sick the federal government on them. I don't ever think that's cool. Well, the case is a defeat in the NFL. It's possible the league won't need to make any payments or changes its broadcasting structure for years, if ever. I told you this, that even if the NFL lost, it may not mean anything. Gutierrez, who repeatedly expressed skepticism of the plaintiff's case during the trial, will hear post-trial motions on July 31st. The NFL will likely see a judgment notwithstanding the verdict, which we love. A judgment notwithstanding the verdict is where the judge would be asked to rule that no reasonable jury could have reached the verdict given the evidence presented at trial. So do you like that, Keith? Basically, we take a case before a jury. We have a trial. Let's try it. Let's see if we can convince the jury. And the jury goes for it. Those suckers, they go for it. And then the judge gets to, afterwards, the dust settles. The jury went against you. And then they said, you can still get to say, hey, judge, this jury was pretty unreasonable, right? Like, don't you think that was insane what the jury just did? The judge could be like, holy fuck, yeah, that was nuts. And then just like, why did we have a trial to begin with? Why did we just have a judge decide this? Like, why didn't you find someone? Anyway, so the whole point is that you can still lose and you can still ask the judge to be on your side.
Well, it's amazing, and not to go completely off board, but we're seeing it happen right now in our society. Our judicial system is so fucking broke. It's so broke.
It just seems to me a violation of basic rights to have a right to a trial by jury of your peers. You have the right to be have your fate decided by people who are like you. That's what makes us different than England, before we threw those filthy red coats out of here. Trial by jury of our peers. And so that can be done, and then still you can just go to the judge and say that jury was not reasonable. No reasonable jury could have convicted. We're saying that we're basically saying that the jury's out of order at that point. And how does that not violate the rights to the jury trial? Because you get to the end and you're just like, well, all of that was unreasonable. That the plaintiffs, like, even though I'm not really on their side either, they have a right to that jury trial. They have a right to have the jury see their point of view, and reasonable or not, to take their side. That's the whole point of a trial. How can you just say, well, their jury wasn't reasonable? I'm not a lawyer. I'm a non-attorney spokesman, everyone.
When I was reading this article, I'm like, what a bunch of horse shit. Nothing's going to happen. Yeah, it's a good headline, and it got it. We talked about it, a couple weeks ago, and it's big news because I had NFL Sunday Ticket for a long time, and the price kept going up, and I finally decided to not do it anymore. But as a residential consumer, and then as we said, you have these bars that pay exorbitant amounts of money to have that, which helps their business, which is how they bring money in. And everyone's gonna get fucked because the NFL is gonna say, whatever, we don't have to do it. The judge doesn't think this is right. So it just goes to show you can try to stand up against the man, but a lot of times you don't win.
Even if you win, you still lose, because the NFL's so big and powerful that they're going to attempt to obviously ask for a judgment notwithstanding the verdict. Basically have the judge set that aside. Everything that the jury did, every single thing that they just went through with the trial, basically the judge gets to decide, like, yeah, that was for no reason because the jury misapplied the law. The NFL could also seek what's called remittitor. I don't know what that is, where the league would argue that the damages are so excessive that it would constitute a miscarriage of justice to maintain the dollar amount. Further, the league could demand that Gutierrez table potential far-reaching changes for the Sunday Ticket structure that might result from the jury verdict. If Gutierrez does not vacate the jury's ruling, the NFL will appeal to the Ninth Circuit. As part of the appeal, the league would seek to halt the case pending appeal. That's a major factor for class member fans who are expecting to check in the mail, or fans who are thinking about whether or not to renew their subscriptions. Yeah, nothing's going to happen anytime soon with this. In fact, I don't remember exactly what I said, but this has already been in the courts for 9 years. They've already been dealing with this since Obama was president. They've been dealing with this. This is how long this has been going on. This has been forever ago. The league would argue a stay is appropriate given the massive damages, given the structural changes that it would impact their contracts for the teams, the leagues, and providers. A stay would mean that the NFL will not pay any damages or need to make any structural changes to the Sunday Ticket until all of the appeals have been concluded, which, if we took 9 years to get a judgment against them, how long will the appeals take? You might as well just put in the check that you're going to get from the NFL on Sunday Ticket. You might as well just put that in the will for your grandchildren at this point. The Ninth Circuit appeals is hardly fast. From start to finish, Ninth Circuit appeals often take in the ballpark of 1.5 to nearly 3 years. And we have to remember, like we said, if they lose at the Ninth Circuit, they go to Supreme Court. NFL could also petition the Supreme Court, like I said, which could extend the timeline into the late 2020s. Still another possibility, the NFL and the plaintiffs could reach a settlement before the appeal. Yeah, if they reach a settlement, they're saying, like, you know what, just pay us $1 billion, and the NFL's like, all right, we'll pay you $1 billion just to let this go, and we're not going to change anything about the way that we're doing it. They just figured out that
we're
way.
Still going to fuck you over.
The class action is on behalf of 2.4 million residential subscribers and more than 48,000 restaurants, bars. What was the name of that bar that started it? The Mucky Duck, and other establishments that purchase Sunday Ticket. So it's just amazing that even with all of this going on, and with YouTube, you can still get it. It's available through YouTube for $349 a year or less with discounts. That all this is going on. I think I've talked this one to death, and it's just amazing that the NFL lost, but they don't really lose. They just get to keep going.
And as we're winding down, I did hear something that I didn't talk to you about beforehand about this guy right here.
Oh, O.J. Simpson, yeah.
On another podcast, and I just found out that at the there were some BET awards, and they did, how they at the the Grammys or whatever, Oscars, they do the honorarium.
Oh, in honor of those we've lost in the past year.
They did one for him.
BET did one for OJ.
Yes.
Did it say like greatest Buffalo Bills running back of all time and just completely skip over the double homicide?
I need to go find it. I haven't physically put eyes on it, but I was driving my truck and I was laughing my ass off when I heard that. So
that
obviously,
guy's so cable, guys. Like, there's really no limit to his fiendishness. He would do anything.
I thought you'd find that amusing.
I do find that funny. We also talked about Aaron Rodgers in recent weeks and how he's been missing Jets minicamp. Robert Saleh, the head coach, said that he was missing because of something that was very important to him. As it turns out, one of those things that was very important to him was Aaron Rodgers making an appearance at UFC 303. So he's just, we speculated about there would be a birth of a child or if a family member was sick. We talked about all these things.
No, I got ringside seats, man.
But apparently he made a public appearance at UFC 303 after skipping out on Jets mandatory minicamp. So he also apparently, this is also from Fox News, his whereabouts. He planned a trip to Egypt during his Achilles recovery without knowing the minicamp dates. So I guess he just didn't know that he would get better. And so he planned a trip to Egypt that he would just be gone for. I guess he just thought he would still be on IR at this time, so he could just do whatever he wanted. But apparently, the stuff that's very, very important to him is just living his best life of going on vacation to Egypt. Which Keith, I want to give you the opportunity to make your classic Aaron Rodgers zinger about him possibly getting into a pyramid and eating mushrooms and getting in touch with some ancient Babylonian god that Indianapolis Colts players may or may not pray to.
He's doing ayahuasca next to King Tut.
Yeah, there you go. There's the key for one-liner. He's doing ayahuasca next to King Tut. Well done.
Just jealous because I haven't done it yet.
I knew I could count on you. Also, Brady talks his regrets. There's the dynasty thing that's on that they're talking about everything that went on with the timeless run of the Patriots with Tom Brady at quarterback. I thought this was interesting. He talks about one of his biggest regrets from his legendary career. I know what you're thinking. He should be thinking this. We had it all. We had all the players. We had the right coach. We had me, and I'm excellent. We should have known. We should have trusted ourselves to win these games without fucking cheating. Nope. He does not regret that. He knows he's going to the Hall of Fame, even though he's a bigger cheater than Pete Rose. It's hard to, this is from CBS Sports. He says it's hard to fathom that Tom Brady has any regrets about his NFL career. Brady, after all, is the only player in league history to win 7 Super Bowls and 5 Super Bowl MVP awards. Brady also won 3 league MVP awards and is the NFL's all-time career leader in career passing yards and touchdown passes. Brady, however, wishes he could have gone about his craft a little differently. That, he said, is one of the biggest regrets when he looks back on his 23-year career. What I would have changed was when I see these young players, I see Patrick Mahomes out there as quarterback running around having fun. I'm like, I used to be like that. What the hell happened to me? This is what he said on the Pivot podcast. I just got too serious. But again, I can only look back and think, okay, if I do it again, which I'll never do it again, I would be different. But the reality is that you can't. You just have to learn from it and go, okay, the next phase of life, enjoy it a little more. So he doesn't regret his cheating. He regrets being too serious about it. And I would say this, Tom, has it never occurred to you that being serious about football is what helped you win so much? You could have been less serious about it and wound up being a far less significant person in the history of football. So, you regret not having so much fun. I don't know what to think about that. He mentions that is that when they lost the season, their undefeated season when they lost to the Giants is also in the Super Bowl, also being a major letdown for them, which I'm fine with.
This guy can get fucked. Regrets. He is the fucking Scrooge McDuck sitting on a mountain of money, multiple businesses. He is touted as the GOAT. Fuck you, man.
Could you believe his biggest regret is that he didn't have
as
enough
much fun? He didn't have as much fun. You know what? Winning's fun. I don't give a shit. Winning is fun. So if you didn't have fun doing the amount of winning that you did and the Super Bowls that you got, never mind the fact that one of your teammates is a murderer.
Yeah.
And you're a cheater, but you know what? You made a shit ton of money. You made a great career for yourself, and you've set yourself up and multiple generations in your family up. Go get bent, Tom. Go get bent.
You know what my greatest regret is? It's like all my
Exactly.
failures and all my sadnesses and all the things that haunt me every night and every day and all the things and how I'm going to die as a person not of any consequence and how no one will love me or remember me. And I've got all these real regrets. And he's just like, I didn't have enough fun. Fuck this
John, I've
guy.
told you multiple times I love you. Shut up.
I know. You're enough for
Yeah.
me, Keith.
Yeah. The only regret I have is I didn't have as much fun. Ugh, whatever.
What a punchable man. All right. That takes us out here from One More and I'm out of here, and from Failure to Stop, and however it is that you're taking us in. We appreciate you watching on this channel. Keith, when's the next episode of One More and I'm out of here?
We are going to do one on Sunday with a new look.
Who the hell's we? Or is it a secret?
It's a secret.
It's a secret.
You'll have to tune in. I don't have a time yet. It'll get put out on Instagram. I'll put it out on our One More Instagram page, and then also link it to the One More Facebook page. And
so where can they find you on Instagram?
My personal is at jkeef21, and the other one is just at One More and I'm out of here. So go follow it. I try to put a reminder story up. I need to get better about doing reels and stuff. I'm just not that good at it, but I'm trying to.
Yeah, I could teach you some things about that if you want. I don't know, because I found a new way to do that makes it easier and less complicated and time consuming.
Perfect.
Go have a good, safe Independence Day. Celebrate the fact that we are no longer dependent on England. We are now dependent on the federal government in Washington, D.C., which is far more oppressive and powerful than the government in London ever was to George Washington and his ilk. Enjoy your welfare. Enjoy your utter dependency. Enjoy your filthy lives of convenience. You make our ancestors ashamed. There's a rebellion in your blood, and yet you kowtow for an easy life. You deserve the hangman's noose. Ben Franklin would spit on your graves, but unfortunately he's in his and you're not in yours. You sicken me, America. Sorry, that was a little bit of a tangent. Anyway, have a great Independence Day. Enjoy your hot dogs. Enjoy your hamburgers, because that's what it all is about after all. That's what they all laid down their lives at Valley Forge so you can have fucking chicken. No, sorry, I was on another tangent there again. Eric will be back here. I'm insane. I'm unhinged. Eric will be back here on Friday for a big case breakdown. We appreciate you guys watching this special Wednesday night episode. We love you guys. We love each and every one of you, except one of you in particular. And you know who that is. But
exactly.
Except for that one person. We love all of you. But we will catch you back here next week. We appreciate you watching Illegal Shift, the little show that could. We hope you enjoyed it, and have a good weekend too. All right, Keith, we will catch you next time, man. Take care.
Right.
I love you. I love you with all my heart. Bye.
Bye.
Be safe. Don't burn down.
Guns up, giddy up.
Guns up. Giddy up. Good night.